Round 3 of the Phoenix Festival Tournament has concluded, and so we have the results to go over. Things are going to be a bit different as we move into round 4 because we will be entering the grand finals of the doubles category. Each of the grand finals videos will be separate from the other categories. So there'll be a grand finals video each day and a video covering the matches in the other categories. All of the Google Forms will be available on all of the videos, but the grand finals videos will be separate as those ones will remain public on the YouTube channel. Each of the other rounds are going to be unlisted. So far, already all of the matches from round 1, and after the posting of this video, all of the matches from round 2 will be unlisted. They'll still be available in the Phoenix Festival Tournament playlist that is on my channel, but they will no longer appear on the channel page, and they won't be recommended to all of you as what to watch next, because I know it could get annoying having all of these different tournament videos pop up. So they'll remain unlisted. If you guys want to watch them in the future, anyone new joining the channel certainly can go there, watch all the different match videos, but each of the results videos, all of the grand finals will remain public. And one other thing I want to mention before we get into the results of round 3 is that this is a tournament taking place where we can't actually see the matches play out on screen. Each person is only able to analyze as best as they can each of the characters taking place in each of the matches and give their best guess as to who would win each match based on this analysis. And everyone is going to analyze things differently, whether people value a character's semblance very highly, or the weapon advantage that they have, the advantage they get from the biomes. Some people are going to value speed very much over strength, and people are going to value the opposite. There's going to be many different ways of looking at things, and everyone is going to have their own opinions. So I'm going to ask once again, please be respectful of one another in the comments below. I've seen numerous people now, especially moving into later matches in the tournament where we are having stronger characters fight against each other, and other people are very adamant about certain characters going to win over others, and when they don't win, or if people are choosing something else, they're starting to get aggressive, saying that you're only picking favorites, or there's no way that your character could possibly win, whereas people see things differently. All I ask is that you be respectful. I like seeing discussion on the channel where people are going back and forth, giving explanations as to why they think their character would win, but I've also seen others where it gets aggressive, and this tournament is supposed to be fun. It's going to be very different than if any of these fights were to take place in the RWBy series, because there's going to be so many other factors at play, and the tournament is meant to be a controlled setting. Most of these characters probably will never even meet each other in the RWBy series, so this tournament is supposed to be fun, it is supposed to be analytical, and I am doing my best to make sure it doesn't become a popularity contest. I'm weeding out all of the votes and the answers that are nonsensical and don't make sense for the match taking place, as with all of these votes, there is the answer as to why your character would win. And any answer that's left blank or doesn't make sense, I'm going through and weeding out all of those. So I do believe, for the most part, that this tournament so far has been fairly legitimate, and the answers being given by most of the people are coming from a place where they actually believe that character would win, rather than just wanting this character to win. Because this isn't a popularity contest. It is a tournament. These characters are meant to be fighting, and we are trying to decide who would win. So again, just please be respectful of one another. Now moving into the results of the singles category. In our first match, we had Marrow Eamon winning against Neon Cat. Then we had Crow Bronwyn defeating Glinda Goodwitch, and this was one of the ones where people were very polarized on who would end up winning. Glinda does have an extremely strong semblance of telekinesis. There are quite a few unknowns of it, whether she can manipulate the bodies of people. She has done so in the past, but can she do this continuously? Is Crow able to outspeed that? And a lot of things would factor into this fight, and Crow has just had a lot more skill and things shown on screen, so with the speed that he has, being able to dodge out of the way of whatever it is Glinda's manipulating and be able to get in close combat, there is a higher likelihood that Crow would win, at least in my opinion and in the opinion of a lot of others. Now, Glinda, I hope we see her again on screen. Maybe a flashback to Beacon sometime soon, and we'll get her more abilities of her displayed, and maybe the answer will change. But for now, Crow Bronwyn does defeat Glinda Goodwitch. Then we have Bartholomew Oobleck winning against May Marigold. We have Sun Wukong winning against Nebula Violet. We have Banesaw winning against Milsha Malachite. Unfortunately, the Malachite twins are now both eliminated. And we have Lai Ren winning against Vernal. This one was a fairly close match, but a lot of people were accounting it up to Ren's speed over Vernal, though Vernal having the electricity dust, the lightning dust, and having those lasers along with it would give Ren a lot of trouble, and this was an interesting one to read through all of the different analyses that were put into this fight in particular. But eliminated now in the singles category, we have Vernal, Milsha Malachite, Nebula Violet, and May Marigold being eliminated. Moving forward in the tournament into round 4, things are going to be a bit different for this aspect, as well as in the singles category, we are only going to go over the losers bracket in round 4. The winners bracket match will be in round 5, because there's going to be more losers bracket matches than winners bracket matches, and just to keep everything kind of on pace, we'll just be going over the losers bracket. That doesn't mean there's not going to be any interesting matches, because there's still quite a few coming up that will still be interesting. But, you know, there's going to be a few less fights as we move forward and things like that, so just something to keep in mind. Then we have Elm Edern winning against Coco Adele. This one was actually like 56% to 44%, and I could definitely see why. Neither of these fighters are necessarily fast-paced fighters. Elm in particular, she's a bit more sturdy and likes to be held in place with her Oro roots and slam her opponents whenever they get close to her, and Coco being very much a long-range fighter, but given the biome advantage and everything that Elm had, she would win more often than not, it seems. Though this would be a tricky fight for either of them to win, as they both have their strengths and weaknesses and are quite opposing forces in and of themselves. Then we have Maria Calavera winning against Raven Bronwyn. Against the Grim Reaper, it appears Raven without her maiden powers does not stand up, especially considering she can't use her semblance of kindred link. She is still an extremely strong fighter and still has a chance to make it to the grand finals in the singles category, but it seems Maria does win out against Raven according to majority vote. Then we have Bertilac Celadon winning against Scarlet David. We have Fox Alistair winning against Leonardo Lionheart. We have Roman Torchwick using his speed of parrying and blocking winning against Peter Port. Now, if we knew Port's semblance and knew more about his fighting style, etc., this might be different, but Roman does have a lot of speed and also has probably the long-range superiority, so he would win out in this fight. And then we have Harriet Bree and her speed winning against Arthur Watts. So, being eliminated, we have Arthur Watts, Peter Port, Leonardo Lionheart, and Scarlet David being eliminated. Member of Salem's Inner Circle, member of Ozpin's Inner Circle, professor at Beacon Academy, and one of the members of Team Sun. And then we have Tyrion Callows winning against Cinder Fall. Cinder, without her maiden powers, she is still a skilled fighter, but not quite on Tyrion's level. Tyrion has a lot more of experience, and the speed of his attacks would be able to overwhelm Cinder, and he would be able to win in this fight. Then we have the closest match that we have ever had yet in the Phoenix Festival tournament, with Pyranikos winning against Velvet Scarlatina by pretty much a single vote. I don't actually put my voting into the tournament itself in case there is a tiebreaker, then my vote would be the one that breaks it, and my vote was for Pyra as well to win against Velvet, so this is very close. A lot of people were saying that Velvet could mimic Pyra's fighting style and be able to counter Pyra's fighting style with her own. And though that would be the case for some portions of it, Pyra is the master of her own fighting style. Though Velvet is able to replicate all of these different fighting styles perfectly, I don't know how well she would be able to use a person's own fighting style against them, because that person has been fighting with that fighting style much more frequently than Velvet has, and fighting with Pyra's fighting style, of course, it's best suited to fighting with Pyra's weapons, Milo and Akuo, and Velvet would only be able to conjure Hard Light Dust copies of those briefly. Those wouldn't last forever, and I don't think Velvet would be able to take out Pyra in that way and have to move to other fighting styles, other weapons, and I think Pyra would be able to use the intricacies in that to be able to overwhelm Velvet, but it would not be an easy fight, especially when it comes to the voting. Velvet comes very close to beating Pyranikos, but Pyra does come out the victor and moves on in the tournament. Velvet does move to the losers bracket, but she still has a chance to keep moving forward as well. Then we have Vine Zeki winning against Robin Hill. we have Gira Belladonna winning against Sage Ayana. This was one that I saw a lot of opposing opinions on as well, that Sage has the reach of his blade against Gira, which definitely is the case, but I don't think Sage would be able to knock Gira out in a single hit, and Gira would be able to tank that hit and get closer to Sage. The only fight we really saw Sage in the RWBy series was when he fought against Du Gale in the Vital Festival tournament, and he did land one massive swing against Du, but that swing was large and arcing, and Gira would either be able to dodge out of the way of that or be able to block it, tank it, and get closer to Sage. Sage is not as strong as Yatsuhashi, at least we haven't seen the same feats from him, so I think Gira would fare better against Sage than he would against Yatsuhashi and things like that, so I think Gira winning this does make sense. And then we had Yang Xiaolong winning against Zhang Arc. Unfortunately, Yang just seems to be a bit more skilled in close combat, as well as Zhang not being at his full capabilities yet in the RWBy series. Well, none of them really are at their full capabilities yet, but Zhang definitely still has a long way to progress compared to certain other characters, so Yang takes him out in this fight. And then we have Weiss Schnee winning against Ilya Amatola. So eliminated in bracket C, we have Sage Ayana, Zhang Arc, Robin Hill, and Ilya Amatola being eliminated. And then in bracket D, we have Penny Polendina winning against Ruby Rose. We have Neapolitan winning against Yatsuhashi Daichi. We have Siena Khan winning against Junior Zhang. Hazel Reinart winning against Carmen Esclados. Clover Ebby completely destroying Bolin Hori with a 100% success rate. And we have Nora Valkyrie winning against Fiona Time. And lastly, in bracket E of the singles category, we have Ozpin winning against Winter Schnee. We have Talk winning against Arslan Altan. A couple people were saying that Arslan might have a chance here, given how she is such a skilled close combat fighter and is quite mobile when it comes to fighting. She might be able to outlast Talk 60 seconds, but Talk may not even need her 60 seconds to be able to beat Arslan. Talk has just a lot more experience, and Talk definitely would. I'm glad to see people vying for Arslan, though. I would really want her to move on in the tournament, but against Talk, I just don't see it as very likely, if at all possible. Then we have Adam Toros winning against Flint Cole. We have James Ironwood defeating Mercury Black. This would definitely be a fast-paced fight taking place, one that I would love to see on screen, but I don't think it's one we will ever get to see. Assuming Ironwood survives Volume 8, he may never encounter Mercury, and unlikely that this would actually happen, but one I would love to see at some point. And then we have Emerald Sustrai being able to take out Amber, and we have Blake Belladonna winning against Du Gale. So that means in bracket E, the characters Du Gale, Amber, Mercury Black, and Flint Cole are eliminated from the singles category. And I believe I forgot to list off the bracket D eliminations, and they are Fiona Time, Bolin Hori, Carmen Esclados, and Junior Zhang being eliminated. So now moving into round 4, even though we are only covering the matches in the losers bracket, there's still some pretty interesting ones to look forward to, such as Yang Xiaolong versus Weiss Schnee, the first battle we have between members of Team RWBy. We also have Siena Khan versus Hazel Reinart, which is going to be a intricate match in and of itself with the way that Siena's semblance works. She needs to be close to Hazel, constantly picking away damage at him, and Hazel, being a very strong fighter, being close to him isn't necessarily the best place for her, so I'm curious to know people's thoughts on that one. We also have Adam Toros versus Ironwood. That's going to be interesting to see how that one turns out. And we have Emerald Sustrai versus Blake Belladonna. So still some pretty interesting fights. All of the tournament brackets have been updated, and they will be linked in the description below if you guys want to go and see what those look like. But now we move on to the results of the doubles category, and the characters moving on to the doubles grand finals. So in the doubles matches, we had Glinda Goodwitch and Sun Wukong winning against Weiss Schnee and Fox Alistair. We had Tyrion Kalos and Ruby Rose winning against Junior Zhang and Penny Polendina. We had Crow Bronwyn and Pira Nikos winning against Maria Calavera and Mero Amon. We had Cinderfall and James Ironwood winning against Siena Khan and Mei Zedong. And finally, we had Mercury Black and Raven Bronwyn winning against Winter Schnee and Cardin Winchester. So the 5 grand finalist teams in the doubles category are Glinda and Sun, Tyrion and Ruby, Crow and Pyrrha, Cinder and Ironwood, and Mercury and Raven. Each of these 5 teams will face each other in a round-robin tournament. This is the way the grand finals are going to work, so there will be 10 different matches going over all of the different matchups here. These matches will take place with 2 each day starting tomorrow. So this tournament will last 5 days, going alongside the other tournament videos, alongside round 4, and the first matches starting tomorrow is Crow and Pyrrha versus Mercury and Raven, and Tyrion and Ruby versus Cinder and Ironwood. So these are going to be pretty difficult to decide who ends up winning, and I really look forward to seeing what your guys' thoughts are in how these matches are going to turn out. So make sure to let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. If you guys want to see what matchups are happening on what days, all of the tournament brackets are linked in the description below, so you guys can check that out and see what days you are looking forward to most. And then we have the results of the teams category in round 3. We had Team Haze winning against Team Coffee. Even though Team Coffee is highly skilled in their own right, it seems they were not able to stand up against the Ace Ops, the graduates of Atlas Academy and some of the best huntsmen in Atlas. And then we had Team Goop defeating Team RWBy. Team RWBy has gotten a lot more skilled throughout the volumes, but are still not at the level of their professors. And then we have Team Dark, created by Raxacory, winning against Team Ashbury. With Gira and Siena being highly skilled, it would be a bit difficult for Team Dark to take them down, but they are definitely up to the task. They have a lot of versatility. I did a full analysis of their team, and make sure to go check that out, as well as the Team Dark trailers linked in the description below. Team Dark does defeat Team Ashbury. And then we have Team Sun winning against Team Funky. We've seen a lot more of Team Sun and their fighting capabilities, not to mention the training that Sun has had, the expansion in Before the Dawn, although Team Funky definitely has had more training, and we did see them again in Volume 7, we just don't know that much about their fighting styles, and Team Sun does seem a little bit more powerful and versatile than Team Funky overall. Then we have Team Esprit defeating Team Midnight. A lot of power concentrated on Team Esprit. They are probably going to make it to the grand finals, but we'll see how they fare in their future fights, but they definitely were enough to defeat the Happy Huntresses. And then we have Team Burns winning against Team Silver, created by Mark Zhang. As always, links in the description below to the Team Silver trailers. Make sure to go watch them. They are incredible, along with Team Dark's trailers, but Team Burns, with the amount of speed and skill that team has, they would be able to overwhelm Team Silver. And then we have Team Witch defeating Team Juniper. This one kind of makes sense. All of Salem's Inner Circle would be able to take out all of Team Juniper, as even though they've gained a lot more skill, they are not on the level of Team Witch just yet. And then in our final match, we have Team Stark defeating Team Ambit. Again, Team Ambit has Adam Tauros, but is kind of one of the more weaker teams overall against Team Stark, with the amount of skill and training that they have, being members of Ozpin's Inner Circle, knowing the truth of the world, and even though we don't know Summer and Ty's semblances and weapons, they're still having Crow and Raven, and the skill that they have would definitely be able to take out Team Ambit, and Team Stark does win this match. So hopefully you guys are enjoying the tournament overall. Let me know what your thoughts on the results in round 3 are in the comments below. What fights are you looking forward to most in round 4, into the doubles grand finals, or in either the teams category or singles category? Linked in the description below is the teams brackets as well for the fights that are going to happen next week. A couple of them look pretty interesting, so make sure to check those out and let me know what you're looking forward to. Hopefully you guys are enjoying the Phoenix Festival Tournament. Make sure to subscribe to keep up with all the happenings on this channel. Join the Guild of the Eternal Flame. Tweet me at Phoenix Knight 7. Also join our Discord server linked in the description below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.